And so here our Bhagavan is saying, just like how light is both a wave and a particle, we can get a tangible benefit from a particle by getting some power from it, by putting an electric cell mari. Our actual emoting can be done to the same Paramatma, which is nameless, formless, only through the names and forms which he has taken. This is the principle of bhakti. This is the principle of Bhagavata Dharma. And hence, Bhagavan says, in one path, you are all alone. You fall down now, get up again and do it again. If you fall for 99 times, get up the 100th time. And that story is Jadabharata's story in Bhagavatam, where Jadabharata actually did only Vasudeva Nama, etc., but he did it as a sadhana. Sadhana means I shall somehow attain Bhagavan by the dint of my practice. You are a sadhana. Bhagavan says, very good, you do it. But if you fall, I am not here to catch you. Because you didn't ask for my grace, na? You rely on your effort more than rely on my kripa. And then there was somebody called Ajamila. And he was a nice, beautiful chap till middle school. And he went to some company there. And then the whole character changed. He got married. He went 88 years of age. He had 10 children. And because of the latent impression of his earlier childhood, he somehow named his 10th child as Narayana. And Bhagavan remembered that he was once a devotee. He has parted ways from devotion. But Bhagavan said, I need to find some pretext for me to elevate him. And it must have been Bhagavan's kripa only that he named the 10th child as Narayana. And then the beauty with the 10th child was, he was a very adamant child, which is a great blessing for a parent. If the child, as we say, Samati Chakraya, is a big problem for parents. You see? Because, for example, suppose you name your child as Gopal, and it is time to go to school. And you shout, Gopal, come down. He comes immediately. Now, only once you will chant the name. If he doesn't come down, blessed parents. You see, Gopala, Gopala, Gopala. Allah, Nama Sankirtana Mandrele. Bhagavan, letting put in the air. You don't have to do the counting. Bhagavan, what I would actually request you is, don't shorten the name. Narayana, Aragana name. Narune. Don't do that. And when you have Krishna, Krishna, and that is the reason why our elders have given us a sampradaya, because Alvars have said, if you name your child as, say, Narayana, Keshava, Narayana, Rama, etc., he didn't say the child will go to Bhagavan's feet. Annai Naragam Pugal. He knows even father won't call. The mother has to say Gopala, 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 and say the mother is very blessed. Annai Appan Naragam Pugal. Alvar did not say father and mother will attain Bhagavan. They say mother will attain Bhagavan. So finally, our Alvar is saying that when you name the child fully, Bhagavan, there is a power in the divine name. That is a mantra. We underestimate Vak, in the Vak. Vak means speech in Sanskritam. So we should understand that when we utter something, it has power. And of course, it needs to be aligned with the way in which I behave. My speech and my behaviors have to be aligned. That's not the point. But don't reduce the power of divine words. You see, the power of divine words is such that it will actually have an impact in our psyche. It will have an impact in our thinking. If you keep on using negative words again and again over time, you shall become negative. Well, proven fact. Not only that, even if you associate with people who constantly complain, over time, we will start complaining about these people. Finally, complain. So, that is how much an open loop our mind is, says our Shastras. So, be careful about the company which you keep. Be mindful of what you consume through your eyes, ears, and what you speak through your mouth, etc. And that is the reason why Ajamila uttered Narayana Nama. And his son was very, very arrogant fellow. So, he never used to obey the father. But the father had tremendous love towards the son. So he used to always call him Narayana, Narayana. As I said, he was very blessed to call him his full name. He did not shorten it. And they called it Narayana, Narayana, Narayana. And the Nama Odindek. And the time for his departure came, and 3 wonderful people from Yamaloka came. But they are also Bhagavatas, because Yamadharmaraja is a great Bhagavata, is a Jnani of the highest order. So they are doing their job. They are doing their Ajamana Vishwasa. And when he saw them, he became very agitated and called out his son's name with the highest, tone. Narayana! He shouted. But then the chaps were playing with Narayana. He did not pay heed to his father's cry. And then when he shouted Narayana, Bhagavan became disturbed. But he could not come as is because he is not ready. So he sent 4 of his own Parshadas. And suddenly in his bedroom there were 4 Parshadas and 3 Yamadutas. Outnumbered, first of all. Negotiation, you outnumber your opponent. First step. They taught me all this when I was in supply chain. First, whether they know anything at all, bring a big delegation and they may not even know the language. They will just write something. It will intimidate the opponent, you see. And so 3 Yamadutas, 4 Vishnu Parshadas. Chalo. All the 4 came there. And now ensued a wonderful discussion between these two. And this is the beauty of Bhagavata Dharma. Yamadutas were simply talking about normal rules of the game. We said, if you do something wrong, you have to be punished. If you do something right, you will be rewarded. Which is the normal, system of reward-punishment model to make a person do things right. Which is what generally we enforce, whether it is corporate or home or wherever it is, government. Okay. But then the Vishnu Parshadas had a very different approach. They were saying acceptance can transform a person. Fear and greed may not transform the person. It may control a person. When there is an opportunity for the person to transgress it, it will go into a monstrosity, you see. And so this Vishnu Parshada said that look here, because this Ajamila said Narayana Nama, our Bhagavan has already accepted him as a devotee. Is Ajamila a devotee? Technically, through the eyes of Yamadutas, he is not. But through the eyes of Bhagavan and Vishnu Parshada, he is already a devotee. You understand this? Please be with me. It's a very beautiful, otherwise you won't understand Bhagavata Dharma. This is explained by our Swamiji beautifully. So he said, these 4 Vishnu Parshadas said, he is already sinless. No parole and all that. He has chanted Narayana Nama. Who can chant Narayana Nama? Only those who have been blessed by Bhagavan can even say Narayana from the mouth. He is blessed. So he is not meant to be punished at all. He needs to be actually taken to Vaikunta. And Yamaduta started giving arguments. He didn't know what Narayana meant. Words have their power, you see. And so whether you mean it or not is secondary. If you mean it, well and good. Even otherwise, doesn't matter. If you say Narayana, suppose you are going in a marketplace and you shout Narayana, and 2-3 people turn back. Hey, I didn't call you. Why didn't you turn back? Because many people may have Narayana Nama. So when you shout Narayana, even a normal human, even though the voice is very strange, will turn by reflex. Imagine Bhagavan who is compassionate, who is waiting for somebody to chant. So he turned back and sent these 4 people. It is what is called Satsanga. Not only Vishnu Parshadas, even Yamadutas Satsanga. You see. And these two had a dialogue. Yamaduta said he didn't know what he was talking. He says that doesn't matter. And he was not chanting with bhakti. Doesn't matter. Sanketyam, Pariyasam, Stobam, Helanameva. He says even people, if they refer to Narayana to something else. Suppose you refer to your Patram as Narayana, get me my Narayana. You may think it is the Patram. But Bhagavan thinks you have chanted my name. So each time you say Narayana, you look at us. You see. And so obviously he is going to consider us as a devotee. And so he said, doesn't matter what is being meant, Vaikunta Nama Grahanam. If you just take the name in the lips, it is enough for all the past conditions to be completely dissolved. Then he said, look here, he did so much sins. He didn't say much Narayana Nama. Further, they answered even one Narayana Nama is enough to us. We want to somehow push this past podam. You see, and the issue. In some of the countries, they have to mandatorily pass every student in the school till 8th standard. You are not supposed to detain them. Imagine the problem a teacher will face. And he has written something and somehow you have to give 35 to that person. What will the teacher do? She will dot the I and dash the T's. And anga pote, inga ka mark, anga ara mark. Dio pote 34 apadi. 35 pass. Now who is feeling relieved? Not the child. Teacher. So likewise, somehow pass pannuna Bhagavan wants. Bhagavan does not want to fail us, but we have to cooperate. If you don't want it at all, Bhagavan can't interfere. It will make a very chaotic universe and people will question, why are you partial towards them? The only thing is we need to aspire for it. And for us to aspire for it, we need a satsanga. For us to have a satsanga, even if you mistakenly or by some ways you chanted Narayana Nama, Hari Nama, etc., that's your entry towards satsanga. How can just a physical name get us into satsanga? The name is divine, one part. Why did you chant the divine name? Na? Koti Janma Punya Sadhana Sadhyam Govinda Dasa Mandala Dasyam. You see? So it is all because of our past karma. But then after you become a bhakta, you don't talk about my karma. You rather want to see it as a perspective of Bhagavat Kripa. It is only a way of seeing. Karma is one aspect of seeing. Kripa is one aspect of seeing. Choice is ours. If you keep on saying my karma, I am still centered around my ego because all the karma clings to me. But if you want to transcend ego, the better way to look at it is Bhagavat Kripa, Bhagavat Kripa. Don't even think about my papa, my punya, my. So let us look at Bhagavat Kripa. And that is the reason why our Ajamila was privy to this conversation. You know, the beautiful picturization. And Vishnu Parshadas finally convinced Yamadutas, doesn't matter, even one Narayana Nama is enough. For example, if you are in a village home, and generally we go only once in a year to our village, whether Tamil Nadu, Andhra, wherever. But then we keep the house in our village so that we can attend the festival of the temple in the village, right? So it is shut for most of the time. So we go there and all the doors are locked, windows are locked. For one full year, not even a beam of light came in, you see. And darkness was almost the 1 year tenant in that house. But when you light a match and light a lamp, will the darkness say, give me 1 month notice period? Immediately it disappears. One match is enough, isn't it? Likewise, he said, till we get the jnana deepam in the heart, you can talk about the quantum of papa, punya, etc. The moment jnana comes, poya priyam pudaruvan indranam thiyinil pusagam. All your karma is completely disappeared. Just like how darkness disappears when you light a small lamp, small match, one lamp. And our Vishnu Parsha says, he chanted Narayana Nama. It is not an accident. It is not luck, fortune and all that. It is my Bhagavat Kripa. Bhagavan has decided to take him across, so he made him chant, he made him name that person like that. And so he can certainly be pardoned. And Yamadutas persisted. They put what is called a noose. Noose, it's a very nice way of showing that the body and the consciousness in life need to be separated. And while they put the noose, that noose is like incredible noose. For centuries, I don't even know, Kalpakalam. You put as many zeros as you know, along with one. That many years, it never failed. That day when they tried to pull the noose, the knot a day loose out. And the noose didn't work at all. Noose loose out. And they all looked at each other. They understood there is something in this case. It's an exception. And they didn't know how to approach it. You see. Now they have to report to their boss, Yamadharma Raja. They have to report now that they come empty-handed. Never have they come empty-handed. So they went, they were all very awed by the lovely, lotus-like eyes of this wonderful Vishnu Parshadas, who must have come from Vishnu Lokam. Their wonderful shining diadems, their wonderful shining necklaces, and their kritams, crowns. And in the hand they had Shankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma. They were all looking like Vishnu. And remembering them, they all went there, they all talked to each other. How do we approach? Our boss will ask, meeting போட்டு என்ன சொல்றது? And let us first of all, attack is the best form of defense. See. So they rushed straight away to the boss' office, Yamadharma Raja's court, and said, Swamin, you please tell me, are you the Lord of the universe, or is there some other Lord of the universe who writes a different rule book? Are you reporting to him, or is he reporting to you? Say, wait. Yaman, where is Ajamila? You tell that first. Appu roles responsibility matrix. They said, look here, we went to the right address. And that person was also the right person. We tried to take him from coming. Then he screamed. Yavanda scream mannamata? Unfit for the job. If you are afraid of screaming, everybody will scream only. And this scream was something different. What was it different? All the three in unison said, he screamed, Narayana. Solitary Dipata, Yamadharma Raja is standing. Tears of joy welling from his eyes. He said, with all these people chanting the name of my wife, the wife who pair Ayyoma. So when you say ஐயோ அப்படின்னா யமதர்ம பத்னி say நான் கூட்டின்னு வாங்களேன்னா somebody is calling me. It is said in Shastra, yamasya karuna nasti, but yama patni karuna asti. Yama is not compassionate, he will be very unprejudiced in work, he won't allow emotions to come in his way. If you have papana, punishment, punyana, so he cannot show all this mercy and all that. Adukku vera agency. So he is supposed to just do as per the rules. But yama patni ke ayyo nu pera. And whenever somebody say ayyo, she's பாவம் குழந்தை நம்ம எல்பு சட்டி ரெடியா இருக்கு. Just kidding. I can afford to kid because none of us are going to ever see that. So இப்பே கேட்டு என்ஜாய் பண்ணிக்கோங்க. So here our he has long time since he heard that name Narayana. He's such a great Bhagavata. He understands the greatness of Narayana Nama. That's why Bhagavan has put him in that post there. And he said, so many years I have never heard that name. And you have given me a great blessing. Tell me what happened now. Now the boss has become very subdued. Now boldly they said, we went there. The 4 people came. Oh, you saw those 4 people? You are all very fortunate. They come from Bhagavan himself. And what did they say? They said everything. And they asked, now tell me, they are using a different rule book. You say papamna punishment, punya means reward. The reward punishment model is true. Or they are talking about some compassion, acceptance, nama sankirtana, etc., which is true. Our Yamadharma Raja says, as long as you don't follow that model, we are the Raja. But the moment you submit to divine grace, our rule book does not work for them. What they said is true. They are all become the people or the folks of Hari himself. And for them, all this won't work. And he said, you are very fortunate to actually have the darshan of 3 or 4 wonderful servants of Vishnu there. That is Bhagavata Dharma. Either we can run our life fearful of the future or greedy for better things in future, and or we can run our life with a grand purpose guiding it, values guiding it, and the fuel for our life is Bhagavat Kripa. When we go this way, this fear will also fall, and unnecessary greed will also fall. Of course, we all aspire for growth. That's not what greed is. We all aspire good life for our children. That's not what greed is. And that will actually make our life go in a very different path. And that perspective is the perspective of Bhagavata Dharma, which is acceptance of Bhagavan's grace. Which means it is not a replacement for my effort, replacement for my intelligence. We use our intellect to the best possible extent with a clear cognizance that this intellect is also a gift of Bhagavan. I will put on my efforts with my body or with my sense organs, etc., with a clear cognizance of the fact that this is also a gift of Bhagavan. Over and above that, I shall also understand there are things which I can't control, I call adrishtam, and those things which I can't control, I leave it to the grace of Bhagavan. So I give my best, I think my best, I want to influence my best. Beyond that, there is something called Bhagavat Kripa. Let it give the result as it pleases. And that gives us a tremendous clear head and a calm mind, which makes our life go in a very smooth way. And that is the path of Bhagavata Dharma, where reliance is on Bhagavat Kripa. And how do I show gratitude to Bhagavat Kripa is by chanting the divine names at a minimum, you see. And when I say minimum, don't think it's lowly. It is the highest step also. But at least do that. And when you are completely a lover of Bhagavan, you can't help doing it, you see. And naturally, Harinama will come in your lips when you are a Bhakta. That's what, Bhakti Nale Radha Devi da. And that's why in Ashtapati you say that what Radha Devi's condition is, Hari Riti Japati Sakamam. Always she chants Hari, Hari, Hari. You see? Reason being, the embodiment of love, you will automatically have the Harinama in your lips. But to get to that love also, you chant Harinama as a practice. This is Bhagavata Dharma for you. And that is why in Bhagavatam, the 6th canto, it shows that you can either lead a life guided by fear, or you can lead a life which is not guided by fear. But for that, we should understand what fear is. Na? There is a wonderful chapter in the 11th canto. Bhagavatam is incredible in us getting perspective about life. In the 11th canto, there is this wonderful discussion between 9 excellent yogis and a Raja of Videha, Mithila. And that Mithila Raja is called Nimi. Generally all the Rajas are named Nimi, or they are all called Janaka, or they are all called Videha. That's a common name given to all the Rajas of that kingdom, which is somewhere in the northern part of Uttar Pradesh, bordering Nepal and all that stuff. So there, these 9 yogis were approached by the king, and the king asked only one question: what is the way for me to conquer fear? You see, that's all I want to know. And very beautifully, they gave an answer, which initially was not very evident to me why he gave this answer. But the moment you do a little deeper, even with our normal intelligence, we understand what a genius answer it is. We need to understand what fear is, isn't it? Because the entire Bhagavata Dharma is introduced in the 11th canto with this element of fear only. What is fear? How do I overcome fear? What is fear? If you look very deeply, do you think fear is something we get when we think about the past, or we think about the present, or we think about the future? Many people say, I'm afraid of my past, and I don't agree, because past is done, you see. You may be afraid that some Vandavalam of the past comes to Tandavalam in future, you see. You may be worried that my past secrets may be revealed in future. So your worry or fear is not of the past, but of it being revealed in the future. You can never be afraid of the past. You can be anxious or regretful or remorseful, all that is there. But fear is not also something which is in the present moment. Even if I see a dangerous animal near me, at that second I am not worried, I am not afraid. I am afraid about the next second when it may come and pounce on me. You see what I am saying? Fear is always of the future. Maybe the next second or next minute or next month or next year or next janma. And the fear is a benign fear. அடுத்த ஜென்மம் நல்லா இருக்கணும்னு ஒழுங்கா இருந்தானா அதுதான் ஸ்பிரிச்சுவல் fear, you see. And so you have this fear, and when you say fear, it's always about the future, isn't it? And it is always about a result element only in the future. Nobody is afraid about, I may have to work hard next year. Illa. I am worried about the pain I may get when I work hard in the next year. Efforts will never give us fear. Results can only give us fear. Many people in India, they say exam fear. You children are all very fortunate, because from 9th standard onwards, daily exam உங்களுக்கு. In India, exam is only about 3 into 5 hours. That 15 hours, if gods are very benign to me, my 12 years are taken. But here 4 years you have to be continuous evaluation. Enga Bhagavata Dharma final exam Narayanana போயிடலாம். Indian education system is more aligned towards Bhagavata Dharma. Where ஏதோ பண்ணி நீ 12th வரைக்கும் final board exam you score 100%, nobody looks at your history. You are done. And generally in our life final exam ஒன்று இருக்கு. Antima Smaranam, if you do Narayana, then Bhagavan says that Janma Labha Paraf Pumsam Ante Narayana Smriti. And so I think our Indian exam system I am very happy about, you see. But then there is an advantage here that constantly you have been evaluated. You may not have anxiety of your 12th standard exam. When I come to America, 12th standard exam is a non-entity. You see, final exam in 12th and I am already in college. You see, you are already in college. A final exam munadiyeva. Idu nalla irukku indha dharma. So in India, you can't get like that. They will wait for the results to be declared. Then you apply. You see, in the result, nobody cares. 3 years you slogged well, no problem. So here, generally people say exam fear in India, because the 15 hours determine their next 30 years of life almost. And so I asked them, are you really worried about the exam, or are you worried about the exam results? You see, nobody is afraid of exams. Suppose I tell them, you write your exam, but don't worry, you will all pass. Who will be afraid of exams? The worry or the fear is for the results. So obviously fear is something to do with future. Fear is something to do with some result in future. And obviously since it is in future, I don't know. Correct? And so it is something which is imagined only. Is it not false? So it is an imagined or anticipated result in future. Nobody is ever afraid of a positive result in future. Everybody is afraid of only negative results in future. So fear technically means an anticipation of a possible negative result in future. Is it a fair definition? What is fear? An anticipation of a possible negative result in future. And now to overcome fear, generally we say we need to be courageous. But I beg to differ, in a sense that fear and courage has to coexist. One cannot annul each other. You understand what I'm saying? I'll give you an example to make it right. In English, fear and courage are opposites. You'll get full marks. Don't worry. But in life, you need courage only when there is fear. When there is no fear, you don't need any courage at all. For example, if you have to walk alone in a dark path to come to this home in the night, and it's a newly developed community, not many people around. We from Chennai are so used to Ranganathan Street that if there are no people around, we feel very restless. And you people are bothered about too much crowd. We feel completely at home with crowd. If there is nobody there, no, something wrong. You see, there are nobody moving around there, don't go to that place. But here, if there are too many people, privacy gone, you see, and you don't like that place. We have our own ways of thinking. But then, if I have to travel all alone in the path, that's why I'm telling you. You are so used to it, na? We are not. So example will work only when you see it through my eyes. And it's completely isolated. I'm walking through some cemetery, you see. C-E-M-E, and the cemetery. When I'm walking through that, and somehow my heart is palpitating, I'm sweating, and then I come inside, I tell, you know what, I courageously walked through a cemetery today. I was really very afraid watching it. So what is courage? Do I need courage? Obviously we need courage. Is courage replacing fear? Courage is not replacing fear. Courage is me doing the right thing in spite of fear. You see, courage may not dispel fear at that point of time, but if you keep practicing it, I may get less fearful over time because I have courage and I did the right thing in spite of the fear. But if when I actually reminisce back and I tell them, I have walked through 10 times in the past, so I think I can manage the 11th time also. I'm still afraid. But then courage is what I do in spite of fear. I move ahead. I progress in spite of fear. So technically, if you want the opposite of fear, which annuls the fear, we should go to the first principle definition of fear, which is an anticipated negative result in future. So I need to replace it with an anticipated positive result in future. Both are imaginary, both are imagined. So fear can only be replaced, or fear can only be directly diminished when I start anticipating something positive to occur in future. And that is exactly the definition of faith. You see, what is faith? Faith means I anticipate a positive result in future. And only when I have faith, I can counter fear. And that is how Bhagavata Dharma starts by saying that you are talking, how do I actually dispel fear? The first Yogeshwara called Kavi Yogeshwara says, the only way to fight fear or bhayam is taking abhayam under Bhagavan. Achyutasya upasanam atra nityam udvigna buddhe asadatma bhavat. So for a person who is constantly imagining negative things about the future, which is fear, the only cure is to develop faith in one's own self and in Bhagavan or the grace of Bhagavan to conquer fear. And how do I get there? We need constant reinforcement of the various stories of other success stories of devotees, other path stories of devotees, Bhagavan's own words, etc. Because remember this, to be brutally honest, fear is also imagined. Faith is also imagined. Faith is also about the future. Fear is also about the future. How do I develop faith? And how do I make sure that the faith is unshaken? The faith in myself stops with my effort and my thoughts. But then for my efforts to fructify, I have some extra delta which I can't control. You see, which I cannot, if I control it, it becomes a part of my circle of influence. And so that which is uncontrolled by me, if I start realizing that it is controlled not by me, but it is not totally uncontrolled, it is controlled by a higher force or an higher entity, then I feel more reassured that whatever happens will happen for the good. Remember this, what happens in future absolutely doesn't matter to me right now. In my current mental frame, anxiety is the problem, not the result, you see. And so to actually tackle anxiety, very beautifully Bhagavata Dharma says the truth. I am not giving you an imagined hypothesis to imagine. I am telling you the truth. that Bhagavan is running the world. Bhagavad Kripa is the delta which we can't control. And if you are a devotee, even my efforts, I look upon it as an effect of Bhagavad Kripa only. And my clear thought, I may remember a lot of things. Many times, there is something called Vaiva Vose. You heard about it? Tamil Vaivana and Artham Therima? Tituana. So Vaivana, we went there to Vaiva. And you remembered for 12 years what is the formula for alkyl benzoid or whatever, you see. And during the Vaiva Vose, and that lady asked me, what is the formula of benzene? Madam, till yesterday I know it. I assure you, I promise you. I will give it to you in writing. I know it. You ask him. You have to remember then. And suppose some person by fluke, very good. He has no idea what he drew. There are things which I can't control with my memory and all that. There are a lot of things which I can't control. I need reassurance for it. The truth is, don't worry. World is not a random place. There is a divine force running the world. There is a system in the world. Why are there some constants in physics? Because there is system. There is order in the world. And nature by nature is disorderliness or entropy. So in spite of nature being there, there is order in the world. Obviously, there is consciousness which is running this world. And the consciousness is also Bhagavan, is also Paramatma. It will take a little while for us to completely imbibe. Once you get it, your mind becomes so clear. And then you understand what I can control, I will do my best. As Bhagavad Kripa has given me this ability, I will use it to the best. What I can't control, Bhagavan, whatever you have willed for me, I submit to that. Prasada Buddhi. So when you go into a temple, and then you buy strawberries, which are very imported from Scotland, and then you got it out there, and you give it to the priest out there. Somebody brought a local banana, 2-3 bananas out here. So they buy a bunch of bananas and give them. All the fruits goes inside the Sannidhi. And the priest offers everything and randomly gives prasada to whatever comes in the hand. To this day, thankfully, our children don't say, I gave strawberry, you give banana, nalla irke. Once it comes as prasada, it is immediately accepted. It is a sacrament, it is a prasadam from Bhagavan, you are happy. So, I give the best to Bhagavan, and whatever Bhagavan gives as return is happily taken as a prasadam. And this is the culture we have. The culture is important in the temple, but also outside temple, where, look here, I hope you will get what I am saying, happiness is right now only, you see. And so, if you are constantly postponing happiness, wanting something in future, and feeling very bad, I may or may not get, you have wasted life. And so, our prasada buddhi, if we can follow right now, which means I shall give my best. I shall buy the strawberries, which is the best of my ability, to Bhagavan. And for somebody, it may be bananas also. No problem with that. Bhagavan does not care whether it is sour or sweet. Okay, you just are doing your best, and that intention is appreciated. But whatever comes from the Sannidhi is prasadam for me. And I can, in future, if I really want bananas, for example, I can even go during a day when I think bananas are the best prasada. But then when Bhagavan gives me a banana, I accept it then and there. Likewise, I put my best efforts, I use my best abilities. The result is not what I expected. Finally, we are doing all this for mental happiness and peace. Finally, why do we struggle so much for peace only? But then our Bhagavata Dharma says, why don't you accept it then and there? Learn from it, do better next time, etc. But look here, at the cost of what you think is a better future, why are you losing the present right now? Being anxious, being remorseful, being regretful. And so, our Kabir Das ji very beautifully gives an example. Byaj doke muluko baitere. In the actual effort of multiplying interest, simple interest from banks, you lost your principle, you see. And remember this is what we aspire for. We want a very light mind, we want a very focused mind, we want a very calm mind. And Bhagavata Dharma very beautifully says, take upon everything as Bhagavad Prasada, and that is a fact. I am telling you as a possible way of perspective, etc. But it is the truth, you see. And if your perspective is in line with the truth, we are in safe place. So obviously, what happens, be the opposite of paranoia. There is a ulta paranoia. Paranoia means everybody is plotting against me. do the ulta, na? Everybody is plotting for my success here. The entire universe is somehow plotting for my success, you see. Let me give my best. Both are imagined, but this imagination, if you ask me, is closer to the truth than that imagination. And that is the reason why it is said, fight fear with faith. Faith can be developed, faith can be strengthened. And how do we strengthen faith? Satsangam, Shravanam, Kirtanam and Smaranam. Remember, how did I reduce my fear of walking in a lonely path? By recreating the past where I did it 10 years back, I did 5 times last year, even day for yesterday I walked. When I look at the past and understand that I somehow managed it, I get a little more strength. I still have fear, but the fear quotient comes down and down. Na? How does it come down and down? By looking back and by looking at all the positive things which happen in spite of all the constraints in the past. I feel the strength and confidence that I can face it today. And when we want to do it in a religious way, we look back at our life and feel grateful to Bhagavan for whatever was blessed. There were many challenges, there were many tight spots, but I am here now. I am still breathing now. I am still thriving now. It is because of Bhagavad Kripa. With that gratitude, you approach puja for 2 minutes every day, 3 minutes every day, without multitasking. Don't bring electronics into our puja. If possible, don't even do archana from your iPad. You see, please do it with a piece of paper. And then look at it and do puja. And feel grateful. Bhagavan, I have had a lot of tight spots in the past. But by your Kripa, I am fine. And I am very indebted to your Kripa. I am very grateful. And be very specific in that gratitude. You will immediately get faith. It's because gratitude and faith are two sides of the same coin. The moment you look back and said, somehow in spite of my efforts, even though I didn't get my results, but something happened, some connection fell in place, and I got what I needed in the last minute. Idallam Kripan, if you see, you can get the assurance and the faith that Kripa will take care of me. Does not mean that I'll be lazy and all that. I will put my efforts, and then rest of my uncontrolled stuff is Kripa. But then finally, let me tell you from my heart, Bhagavan is running your life, Bhagavan is running my life, Bhagavan is running the life of everybody. He does not do it randomly. He does that through the wonderful 3 strands of a puppeteer, which is called karma, which is work and what our past actions and the effects of the actions. Kalam is time and Swabhava is nature. Using these 3 strings, he is pulling the entire life of universe. This is the philosophy of Bhagavatam. And so Bhagavan irka, Satyam, he has a form, Satyam, Krishnan irkana, Satyama irka. Eppadi irkanu we can't now say right now. Because you need to have that maturity to understand what is Saguna Sakshatkara, how does Kripa work, we may not know. But Kripa is there, it works. So let us go in the path and explore how and all that nitty-gritties if you are interested later. And my example I give is when I build this house, architect comes and says it's ready for occupation. I am not bothered whether the truss calculations of the ceiling is perfect or not. Kekalama, kununga enakku kaatunga. Evlo load bearing proper adala. Where is the load bearing beam? What if I jump on top? Will it? No, nothing will happen. How do you say, show me all the... We never ask. Why? We trust that person. That person has built so many houses and we know if he... We trust that person because he has built houses, na? And you don't check his certificate. You don't check, did he really pass civil engineering in Harvard University? Like that. Trust him. We go to a doctor and we say we have a tooth pain and he gives some cane kudukararu. And then when you take the tablet or the injection, pain goes. But then if you tell the doctor, unless you explain me how does your medicine stop my tooth pain, I don't think I will take your tablet. Tooth pain na. Because you can't even focus on medicine. You have to finish all that 15 years of medicine to understand this simple thing. You take a tablet, pain will go. But then you start with trust, na, let me try it, chalo. And then pain goes. Now I am interested. I want to really understand how something which is so much bothering me, it went, na. I need to understand. Then you get into, let me understand medicine. You start with biology or whatever you do. And the Madri, grace works, Nama works. There is a big testimonial by all these Mahatmas. And we have seen it work in our own lives. So how it works is very difficult. It's all divine stuff. It is beyond intellect. But then to understand little more, how can I actually have the experience of Bhagavan? How can I actually experience divinity within me? Takes a little bit of patience, and we have to go in the path. If we say until I understand I won't go in the path, na Bhagavan is not the loser. Namakku dhaan loss. Adunala first number we will actually understand, take it, go in the path. And as we go in the path, we learn. It's called learning in the go, you see. And our Sanatana Dharma is learning in the go. First show Shraddha, walk, then I will tell you, is what Bhagavan says. And whatever little we can do, do it first. Then I will give you more and more freedom to understand and explore better. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa gives a story. It is set for a different context, but I like the story. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa is our Swami Vivekananda's guru. He says once there was a cow herd, and he tied a calf in the center of a pole in a very big, about 40 acres of lush green grass. And the calf was very excited to eat the entire 40 acres. It cannot. Nah. So he gave only 1 meter rope for that calf to finish. But the calf thought very unfair. He tied me to only 1 meter. It is 40 acres. I want to graze all over the place. And then it started striking. I won't eat. And it sat down. And the cowherd came. He saw that it was not eating. He went back. It became even more upset. Now, when the Pata Pona, he comes, saw, and he left. How is it fair? I won't eat. But then the cowherd, when people asked you, why don't you let go a little more of this calf? He said, first to 1 meter itself, it has not grazed. What is the point in letting go or giving it 2 meters or 10 meters or 100 meters? Let it first show me it means business and it's hungry, and let it eat the 1 meter radius of the grass. Then I will come, allow a little more, allow a little more, allow a little more. And when it is finished what it's supposed to finish, I can even untie it totally. Bhagavan expects that from us. When you ask, I want to be absolutely free, no. First, whatever little freedom I gave, fill it with something and show you mean business. Many people say, I want to quit the job and full-time get into Nama. Our Swamiji says, how much time you get every day? Hardly 5 minutes, Swamiji. Do you do 5 minutes of Nama? First show me that. And fill your free time with Nama first. And then come back to me. And over time you will realize, when you really fill your time with something like Nama or Parayana, Bhagavan will find ways to actually expand it slowly. You will find more time. You will find things are smoothing out. You will get more opportunity to do that. And once you really show commitment, then Bhagavan may free us one day. And that is how spirituality works. It does not work from our adamancy. But in our adamancy, in sticking to the path and fill that unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of spiritual activities. You do that first. And then it will slowly expand. You see? So Bhagavata Dharma says, don't try to give up anything, don't run away. Nama can be supplemented with everything. Like we add ghee. Ellathukkum oru neyya potruvom. If it is a spicy thing, add ghee. Payasam, ghee. Alva, ghee. Ellathukkum ghee. The reason being, it goes with everything. And it adds the taste of everything. Can you imagine something which is salty, you add ghee, it actually enhances the taste. Something which is sweet, it enhances the taste. Something which is spicy, enhances the taste. Even bitter gourd they fry in ghee and give. You see? So it enhances even the bitterness of a bitter gourd. You see? That's the beauty of Nama. Whatever activity we do, add it with a little ghee. And the ghee is generally said is added for Shuddhi or purification. Likewise, this Nama is the ghee. It adds purification to all our job we do. And it will remind us of the purpose. That's the beauty of Nama. If we won't get bogged down by all these small little nuisances, you would be constantly focused on this is why I'm here for. Nama gives us that perspective. So Bhagavata Dharma says, even though it is a rare, special Dharma only for select few people like Mirabai or Sant Tukaram or Alvars or Nayanmars, etc., this path is also being made very easy by Bhagavan by saying whatever you do, you add the divine name. And the divine name will somehow transform you. Divine name by the grace of Bhagavan will transform you and make you fit. First of all, what the divine name will do first is make us Dharmatma. We will become people of value. We will become more compassionate. We will become more truthful. We will become more able to control our senses. We will become purer. These are the 4 legs of Dharma I said yesterday. And after that, that same Nama will push us into a Satsanga of a Mahatma. In my definition, Satsangam nale Sat Purusha oda Sangam. Unless you have a company of a person who is a realized master, our growth is going to be only in small steps. But then growth is growth. And then it will also slowly make us go in the path of bhakti by doing various practices of bhakti called sadhana bhakti. And then slowly it will give us a little glimpse of what the divine love is. You'll get more and more faith and in that divine path. Suddenly you will feel something happening in your heart. Something, when you go to your same temple only you'll go. Maybe you'll go to Tirupati or Sri Rangam or Varadaraja Perumal temple. But that experience will be something different you can't explain. So you'll realize there is something more than what I understand. And you persist in the path. Slowly all the wheels of ignorance will drop. And then it will lead us to the higher state. And Bhagavan says, even if you don't get to that state, don't worry. Even if you have moved only one step above, if you rely on my grace, rest I will complete and take you across. அதுதான் நமக்கு பெரிய லாபம். தேஷாம் அஹம் சமுத்தர்த்தாம் மிருத்யு சம்சார சாகராத் பவாமி நச்சிராத். If you are truly interested in completely eliminating all the past conditioning and all that, and if you are truly interested in pure love in the heart, pure joy in the heart, Bhagavan says, at some point of time, even if you have not completed it, I will cut all this and give you what is required. Like nowadays I hear students' loans are pardoned, you see. அப்போ நினச்சி பார்ப்போம்லாம்டா லோன் போட்டிருக்கலாம் போல அந்த மாதிரி one great devotee of Ramakrishna Paramsa was asked, do you think you are pure now? His name is Girish Chandra Ghosh. And he led a very wanton life. He was an actor, he was a director, and he had intoxicants. And then he came to Ramakrishna Paramsa. Ramakrishna Paramsa told him, all I need you to do is, you chant the divine name all the time. He says, no way I can do that. Then he said, at least chant the divine name for 1 hour every day. Then he said, 11 times. Once every day. Just say Jai Ramakrishna. Once every day. He says, at times I am in theatre for 24, 48 hours. I don't even know whether it's day or night. You see. So I can't do that also. Give me something else. Then Ramakrishna Paramsa smiled and said, okay, you give me your power of attorney of your life to me. Vakalat சொல்லுவோம் இல்லையா, give me your vakalat, power of attorney. அப்படின்னு கொடுத்துட்டான். You see, matna. You see, from the next time onwards, when he went to the parlor to have some intoxicant, he suddenly saw Ramakrishna Paramsa appearing in the intoxicant and Bhagavan or Patal. And that Girish Chandra Ghosh once said, at times when I look back at my life, some people feel remorse. I felt very sad that our Ramakrishna Paramsa is such a great divine pit where you can throw all your sin. I feel I have not sinned enough in the past. I could have thrown a lot more. ரொம்ப கம்மியா sin பண்ணிட்டோமோன்னு தோன்றது. அப்படிதான் ஒரு assurance you get when you get to a Satpurusha. You won't look back and say, I had a very sinful existence. Sinnaவது மண்ணாவது. Nothing. Bhagyamaho bhagyam. You see, that I have this wonderful company. Bhagyam. And the past doesn't bother us. And the future, you will find the reassurance. I don't know how you will find it, but you will find it. Like, all of us found it. You will be reassured. The final chapter is taken care of. Reassurance. And so in between, there will be ups and downs. Now, that's what may make the story a little interesting. Chala, we'll face it. We'll do it the best of our abilities. We'll do it as a seva to our beloved Bhagavan, our master. That's how Bhagavata Dharma takes us through this journey of life. And tomorrow, I will tell you the various steps in Bhagavata Dharma. How do we actually practice that Dharma? I will tell you. Bhagavata Dharma's why and what I discussed today. Tomorrow we will discuss the how of Bhagavata Dharma. What we can do practically day in and day out. Sadguru Maharaj ki